Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here. So, it's time for the next episode of a series of video games that deserve sequels. And in today's video, I thought I'd this time cover an example of a sci-fi action-adventure video game, which is set in my favourite sci-fi franchise of all time. Sadly, this game franchise, which is part of my favourite sci-fi franchise, is unfortunately considered not to be canon anymore, but I still think it's very well deserving of a sequel. This game is ironically a sequel, as well as a second instalment of a franchise, which I love to see sequel to, and I hope it will just happen one day where it gets a third instalment. And that game, of course, is none other than 2010's Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. So you guys probably want to ask me, of course, what does this game mean to me then? So I have played lots of old Star Wars video games when I was a kid, and I've also played The Force Unleashed games. And I can say very confidently that I absolutely love both of these games. I've played both of them. I've also played on PS3, which is why I have them here on PS3, of course. And I absolutely love both of them. I think they're both absolutely awesome games. And I really would love to see a sequel to them, absolutely. So, when it comes, of course, to why I think a sequel is much needed then, it's because the ending of The Force Unleashed 2 is clearly setting up, of course, a third game with a cliffhanger. Because, depending on what ending you choose, of course, I'm talking about, of course, the light side ending, because to me that's the canon ending, where, of course, Starkiller, the main character, who, by the way, is, in my opinion, an absolutely awesome protagonist, and easily, in my opinion, the best role I've seen from Sam Witwer in his career, definitely, in my opinion, my favourite role of Sam Witwer. He, of course, chooses to spare, of course, the franchise's main antagonist being, of course, in my opinion, the greatest villain ever, Darth Vader, who then gets arrested by Rebel Alliance and is sentenced, of course, to execution following, of course, being interrogated to find out the Empire's secrets. And after this as well, Vader is being taken to, of course, Dantooine to be interrogated, and Vader then gets confronted by Starkiller on board a ship being the Rogue Shadow, and he tells him that by making a choice of his own free will to spare him, he's free of Dark Lord's influence. But Vader then responds that as long as his love interest Juno Clip lives, he will always have control over him. And then, of course, the game ends with Starkiller and Juno reunited at last and go into Dantooine to get Vader there to be interrogated. But they're unaware that Boba Fett, of course, the bounty hunter hired by Darth Vader, is following them. So that was clearly, of course, a setup, of course, for a sequel. And when it comes to this sequel, there was talks of a Force Unleashed 3 happening, of course. And there was also planning for it to be released, of course, on 8th generation consoles, which would have been definitely, in my opinion, a brilliant move for a franchise. But sadly, unfortunately, 2 years after this game came out, Lucasfilm was acquired by Disney. So, I was really angry about this nowadays when I look back at it. Because as a result of Disney now having ownership of Star Wars, this planned third game was cancelled. And I was really angry about this. How could you end this game with a cliffhanger that's never going to be resolved? That's, in my opinion, one of the dumbest decisions ever. To this day, I have never forgiven Disney for cancelling this third game. I've also not forgiven them for cancelling a game called Star Wars 1313 either. That was a game I really wanted to play really badly, but unfortunately that got cancelled. And this sequel got cancelled too, which I was very angry about. So, I really hope that Force Unleashed 2 gets a sequel, I really do. Because, I'll simply say as well that in my opinion, the story of both of these games, to me, is miles better than any of the Disney or sequel trashology films any day, in my opinion. Miles better to me. The stories, the characters, in my opinion, are just 10 times better than whatever the hell we got in Disney World sequel trashology. And I really am so angry they did not do a third game, because the second game was clearly setting up a third game. So, by not doing a third game, to me, it's very ludicrous. So, I'm just really angry about that. There has been loads of talks and rumours of them probably doing a third game, and I really hope it can be true one day and they finally get it greenlit. I really hope so. And there's always that chance as well, because Sam Witwer, of course, is still involved in the franchise because he voices Darth Maul on other characters too. So surely he could come back as Starkiller. Surely. I really hope so. Not to mention, as well, when it comes as well to the afterlife of his franchise, it's still got a fan base, which includes me, because I've played the games a lot in my childhood and still to this day, because they're great games in my opinion. And not to mention as well, the Black Series toy line for Star Wars even had a figure of Starkiller recently, which I really want to get really badly. So the fact that they've done a figure of Starkiller in the Black Series toy line is proof that the franchise of Force Unleashed is still relevant to Star Wars. So I really hope one day they will greenlight a third game, because the fact they haven't done it, to me, is just a stupid move, just ridiculous if you ask me. In the meantime, what I'll do is I will keep replaying the first game, and of course the second game, and I'll keep playing them with hope we'll get a third game one day. I really hope we do, but sadly, due to Disney, of course, being a greedy company, they are making loads of trash content for Star Wars. I'm not sure it's going to work, and even if it did do a third game, it might probably suck anyway. I really hope that they'd bring up a casting and crew from LucasArts who made this game, because they knew they were doing Star Wars games compared to Disney, in my opinion, but sadly, of course, this isn't going to happen, is it? Unless, of course, Disney greenlights it, so yeah, that really sucks. But long story short, in my opinion, Force Unleashed 2 is probably a big example I can say of a Star Wars game that strongly deserves a sequel. So, this is me covering why, in my opinion, Star Wars Force Unleashed 2 is a big example of a game that deserves sequels. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to talk in my comments what you guys think of Star Wars Force Unleashed 2. Think you need sequels or not? Leave it in the comments below. Also, be sure to join Team Papa pressing subscribe for videos to come in the future. And may the Force be with you always.